Hi, welcome to Nicci's vlog. Today, the bathroom law. Approximately 50% of the United States is covered by legislation that says when I present as female, it is okay for me to use the female toilet. That's important for me because obviously dressed like this, if I go into the men's room, I'm at risk. I'm either going to get beaten up or I'm going to get abused verbally or psychologically. And therefore, it is much safer for me to go into the ladies' room. And it's a fairly big issue because obviously there's a bit of an epidemic in America at the moment. Last year, 20 transgender people were murdered because of their transgender status. So transgenders on the whole are a very vulnerable group, clearly at risk from the general population, and therefore it is right that 18 states and 200 cities have passed ordinance that protects transgender people and allows them to pee in safety. However, certain states, certain right-wing conservative Christian organisations have what may well be a legitimate worry about whether sexual predators will see this as an opportunity to dress up like this in order to go into the ladies' room and attack cis females. It's come to a head in North Carolina. And what's happened in North Carolina is that Charlotte, North Carolina's biggest city, passed an ordinance on the 22nd of Feb this year saying that it was okay for me to use the ladies' room and for trans men to use the men's room, etc. And it was due to come effect on the 1st of April. Now, that's not a big window. End of Feb through to the 1st of April doesn't leave a lot of time. And so the state government, backed by an extreme right-wing senator, decided to pass legislation statewide that would overturn this ordinance that Charlotte City had passed. That ordinance was called the Bathroom Law, or HB2. And it's the first of, there's quite a lot of bills being proposed, but it's the first one to actually pass. And it was rushed through in less than 24 hours. And because it was rushed through in less than 24 hours in order to prevent this ordinance coming into effect in Charlotte, I suspect it probably wasn't well thought through and it probably wasn't well worded. For example, it draws no distinction between the difference between a restroom where I need to go to pee and a changing room where young girls are getting dressed. And clearly, I would not go into a young girl's changing room however I was dressed. I could always find somewhere else to go and pee. Restaurants, bars, anywhere where there is just a cubicle and we're just going to either have a pee and do our makeup. So I think clumsily worded, perhaps not worth the paper it's written on. The problem is it has polarized the debate. On one hand, you've got people that want to protect me, and perhaps more importantly, my transgender sisters. Okay? Teenagers at school in Charlotte who are transgender, and that's maybe a small portion of the population, but it is maybe 0.2%. That's still hundreds of thousands, maybe nearly 1 million kids in the US now would have to use the wrong bathroom, put themselves at danger. Would you want Corey to be in the men's room? Because I would worry about her being in the men's room. And so, on one hand, we need to protect Corey. On the other, apparently, there's an epidemic of people, sexual predators, who are using trans-like dress in order to gain access to cis women. Now, I was worried about this and concerned about this like any father would be. I have 3 kids, one of them is a daughter, and I'd quite like to make sure she was safe as well. So I decided I would look into this. The chief proponent of this is this lady, Anita Staver. She has a website called Liberty Council, which we'll have a look at in a second. And on there, she seems to have amassed evidence. She's a very anti-Target who came out and said it's okay for transgenders to use the bathroom in Target. I have to say, I don't see a problem with that. They don't have showers, in Target bathrooms. It is just a place to go and pee. Seems to me to be fine, but I was very interested in her arguments as to why people were going to be at risk for that. I then I found an interview with her on Fox News that referred to a tweet she made. In that tweet, she said that she intended to, from now on, when she's in the bathroom, particularly in the bathroom in Target, that she is going to carry her Glock 45. She made a clumsy-ass joke about it being identifying as her bodyguard, which is, obviously I identify as female and she wants to be with something that identifies as very male. But that's not the worrying thing. The worrying thing is in the video, she says women should just, as a matter of common sense, get trained and get a concealed gun license so that they can protect themselves whilst they're in the bathroom. Well, I'm British, so the idea of people having to carry concealed weapons in order to protect themselves is a worry in itself. We don't have the murder rate you have in the States. We don't have kids getting killed in school because they've picked up their parents' gun. We don't have any of that rubbish. So I'm a little bit biased about this. I am now officially scared of going into the female loo because there may be some people who have got a gun, whether they're trained or not, they might decide they want to use it if they don't like what they see. And then what really scared me is on her Facebook, when you look at her pictures, actually, she's not just learning how to use the gun, she's learning how to use headshots. I'm not sure this is about protecting people at all. I'm not entirely sure at this point that there's a real risk. So I go to their website. I'm worried about protecting kids like Curry. I think we have a responsibility to make sure she's safe, but not at the risk of the rest of the population. So I go to Liberty Council's website to try and understand exactly what they're arguing. And they're arguing that there is a legitimate risk of sexual predators dressing up as women in order to gain access to women. I'm slightly confused about that. In the UK, in fact, I think in the rest of the world, attacking women is illegal. It doesn't seem to me to matter whether it's in a bathroom or whether it's by a dumpster at the back of an Ivy League college. Rape is illegal and sexual attacking people is illegal and exposing yourself is illegal. And there are all sorts of laws that protect that. I'm a little bit confused as to what it is about the American Constitution that says actually those laws are suspended the moment you walk into the ladies' room, and that once you're in a ladies' room, we need separate legislation for it. So I looked at their site. They list in here 20 cases of transgender people attacking females in a toilet. Now, there's not a lot of details about all of them, but I read through them all and none of them seemed to me to support the case. But I particularly like this one, which is number 12 on the list, because this is from the UK. Actually, it's from my hometown. This guy lives 2 miles from me. His name is Paul Williams. And when you dig into the story, this is, they've actually cut and pasted from my local newspaper, which is 400 yards down the road from where I am, the Liverpool Echo. Okay? When you dig into the story, here's the situation. This guy is a known sexual predator. He has been convicted and he is on a sex register, which means the police know him. And part of his bail conditions are that he is not allowed to have photographs of women on his phone. He's not allowed to have them at home. He's not allowed to have them on his phone. He gets stopped by the police going through the tunnel for a routine inspection. And one of the police officers finds that on the phone, he's got pictures of women. So the guy deletes them quickly because he knows he's going to be in breach of his parole and back in prison. And so the police decide to raid his house and find, photographs that he's not allowed to have. Photographs that he's not allowed to have because he's a convicted sex offender and therefore on the sex offenders register. Right. At no point was this guy wearing a dress. At no point was this guy in the bathroom, and at no point was this guy actually attacking a cisgendered female. He was in his car looking at pictures. not an address. So yes, this guy might cross-dress, but I suspect he's not transgender, and I suspect the police are all over him. They know exactly who he is and exactly where he is, which right now is behind bars. Nobody is at risk from this person. And this is one of the 20 that Liberty Counsel say you need to carry a gun into the ladies' room to protect yourself. That's what I think. I'd really like to know what you think. It's clearly a problematic law. Yes, if there is a threat to cis females, we should do something about that, but not at the expense of our vulnerable kids. What do you think? You can find me at niccitake.com, at @niccitake, #niccitake, or /niccitake on just about any kind of social media. Please let me know. What do you think?